Hello, you magical multiverse makers, and thank you to Daniel Vermaas for that malt mention. Malt mates, this is the Bothy. You're very, very welcome. We are about to share a malt moment, and at the time of recording and presenting this video from the Bothy to the universe, it's probably the busiest time of year for shopping for whisky. And this creates a bit of a situation, malt mates, because we're coming into winter time and you may be looking for a single malt which is going to give you that seasonal flavour, you know, Christmas cake, Christmas pudding, plum pudding, black bun, a sort of rich dried fruit confection which is going to be ideal for seeing in the new year and perhaps even last you through to Burns Night in February. And here is a worthy contender. This is Tamdhu single malt from Scotland. This particular version is 15-year-old, bottled at 46% and natural colour, and it says so on the label. And it comes in this rather attractive Art Deco bottle, which shows you there's no such thing as a good idea that's never already been done. So if you're ever a distillery doing bottle research, go to your local museum and do your research there, because some of the best and most successful bottle shapes in history are really, really quite old. So this is a Speyside distillery in the town of Knockando, and it's notable for having quite a large production capacity and is a very worthy alternative to Macallan. So if you really don't want to be part of all the Macallan fever that's going on at the moment, but you want a Macallan style of whisky, Tamdhu is a very good place to stop. It's not too expensive yet. There's the 15-year-old, the 18-year-old, and you can also find batch strength editions, which in my opinion are really quite good quality single malt whiskies. So I've just poured a wee drop and I've done something unusual. I've showed the packaging. I abandoned showing packaging for whiskies quite a while back because, you know, when you see packaging, you're seeing the price you're paying reflected in the container, which you're probably going to discard. But in this instance, it's a solid, transparent, I would call this proper intelligent design, and this packaging is actually, I think, quite suitable for when you're buying a gift for somebody. So as well as buying yourself a gift as a single malt whisky drinker, if you're looking for a gift for another single malt whisky drinker, quite possibly a single malt they don't gravitate to, they wouldn't normally consider, and if they like their little mild-mannered, complex and understated sherry monsters, then this is the one. What do we have in the nose? A bright, articulate, complex sherry bomb. It's a small bomb, it's not a big bomb. It's not a sherry which is all cask, flooding the flavour of the single malt, signature from the stills. Oh, excuse me. I should have probably had a cup of tea before I started, but I didn't. Let's soldier on. And I've lost my train of thought here. Should I edit all this out and do a retake? No, because that's not a real experience. That's not real life, is it? Anyway, I'm getting some wonderfully understated sherry complexity going on here, but intertwined with the still signature from Tamdhu, which really works well with sherry, as do a few of its neighbours, including Knockando and Aberlour. There you go. and Glenallachie. Sorry, Glenfarclas, that's better. Well, Glenallachie is actually just down the road. Slight grapefruit and lemon citrus notes on it. So I wouldn't call it a delicate sherry because it's quite distinctive. But you have quite a rounded, complex, spicy single malt signature. You needn't add any water. 46%. It's got that fullness of flavour, which is slightly condensed, slightly concentrated, but still straight to the palate from the glass, no water, delivers a wonderfully slightly sherried, dusty, decent quality casks, mild spices, a little bit of dates, a little bit of apricot in the background, some toffee notes, absolutely, a little bit of chocolatiness in the distance. A naturally understated complex whisky with of really good manners and character. I'm going to add a drop of water now. This, it doesn't matter whether you're into sherried whiskies or not, so about 4 millilitres of water. So not quite a full teaspoon, about 3/4 of a teaspoon. And the reason I'm adding that is you could drink it neat, but when you do add the water, you're just going to get more out of it. That simply wouldn't have been there at all if it had been bottled at 40%. And the reason is that as soon as you dilute whisky from any strength, it loses some of its flavour. So any whisky at 40% has lost some of its flavour and dilution, period. Because the strength of the alcohol in relation to the water in the solution is less when it's weaker, and it simply doesn't have the ability to chemically bond, partially physically chemically bond, the flavour components. We notice again on this, quite mild, soft, understated. Some would call the nose smooth, but Maltmates, we know better than that. It's just softly, slightly gingery, slightly vanilla, quite a feminine. If you were to use a gender reference, you would say a feminine style. It's got more of a kind of intellect to it, more of a, rather than a forced flavour or imposed flavour, you've got a series of components, suggested flavours, which encourage you to actually linger on the nose and linger on the palates, which of course is what you're supposed to do at winter time anyway, when you're sitting by your fireside getting a wee heat. Taste. Oh, more flavour. The actual dilution with the water has actually increased the volume of flavour. Now I'm getting some delightful bitter oak, proper bitter oak, not contrived bitter oak, proper bitter oak on the finish in the latter part of the development. The spice has increased. It's become a much more dramatic whisky. And this is really just a testament to its calibre. At the moment, as I say, not too expensive. So if you're looking for a gift for yourself or a gift for someone who's into whisky, this is one well worth considering. I love that arrival. Reminds me a lot of Glenfarclas. Toasted malt. Bright, fresh, toasted malt, slightly caramelised maltiness and barley sugar. Barley sugar toffee. Complex spices. When I say complex, I mean a collection of individual spices all grouped together. Clove, yeah, absolutely. Cinnamon, some ginger, allspice, anise, all kind of clumped up. And you can't really sort of pick them out from one another. What an interesting and engaging serious whisky from Tamdhu Distillery, which means, by the way, it's the Gaelic for Little Black Hill. Do. The do always means hill. Okay. So what will I give this? It's a malt mark. It's an integrity malt mark, but I have to add, I'm wondering to what extent it's chill filtered. When I add water, a little bit of Scotch mist appears, but not a lot. It's really quite slow to develop, and it does suggest to me, as you can see, not a lot there, that they may not have chill filtered this whisky, but they have extensively filtered it. That's what the glass is telling me. Which is, it would be even better if it was completely unchill filtered and just basic barrier filtered. But hey, a delightful single malt, well worth looking out for, and actually quite tastefully packaged and understated for modern branding. So all good to them. There we are, 87 out of 100, and that, my dear fellow whisky travellers, is a malt mark. Right, if you pop back again for Ralphie Review 950X, I shall be talking about buying a whisky gift for yourself or for someone else to see in the new year. Because this is a time that gives you an opportunity to really kind of shake things up a bit and do more of a deep dig and explore before you kind of pick out one single whisky that you're going to use to see you over 1 year and from 1 year into another. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why New Year is so important to Scotland. And this is a fairly recent situation. But there we go. That's enough for this. You'll have to wait and see the extras, which is coming along shortly. And if you want extra extras, and if you want that third video that I do in a week, every week, you'd really have to join as a Patreon subscriber to my patreon.com channel, which is linked down below in the description box, where I give extra content. It is generally a little bit more edgy and controversial at times. Yes, I do engage in a few rants, but I have some really interesting projects that I'm sharing with Patreon subscribers, and I also do my bi-monthly live stream 2 hours from the Bothy, which all generally goes down pretty well from those that are watching it. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Subscribe if you have to keep informed about forthcoming videos. I do get the impression that I am no longer at this moment in time shadow banned, which I was aware of during the summer. There's been an awful lot going on at YouTube and it shows, but that's just the reality of it. And at the end of the day, the show goes on, especially at ralphie.com. See you soon. Bye-bye.